everyone, and welcome to my Facebook Live. I'm Angela Palmer from Stamp with Angela, and I'm excited to be here with you today to share some ideas, some crafting inspiration. And today we're actually going to focus on heat embossing. So not sure if you've given this a go before, but it is one of my favorite techniques. And it was something that I learnt many years ago, probably over 20 years ago, and it was one of the first techniques that I learned other than sort of basic stamping and things, and it's still one of my favorites. So I hope to share a few tips and things with you today to help you with your embossing. Maybe you've done it before, maybe not, but a bit of a refresher, or if you haven't given it a go, I hope you enjoy seeing today's creation. So I will be using the beautiful butterfly set for the embossing today. Now I've used it a bit before in the past. I've used it just with stamps. I've used it with dies. And yeah, probably 2 or 3 times. So you can probably guess that it is one of my favorite sets from the April catalogue. But I'm using it in a different technique. So you don't obviously have to have this particular set to do this technique. You can do it with all sorts of sets. But obviously, if you like this one in particular, you may like to look out for it. All right. So in case you don't know who I am, I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in Auckland on the North Shore. And I have been a demonstrator for over 12 or 13 years. And over the last few years, I do a weekly Facebook Live at 1:30 p.m. to reach those of you around New Zealand or even overseas who can't come to my in-person classes. But I do offer in-person classes. I had one this morning. And it's just fun to get together with others, and I can, hands-on show you. So if you're local to me, feel free to reach out and look for those classes. I do like weekday mornings, a Friday night, a Sunday afternoon, and then coffee and cards at a local cafe, which happens to be next Tuesday, and that's in Unsworth Heights on the North Shore. So reach out to me if you are interested in coming along to any of those. All right, today's card. So switching cameras. All right. So here is, that's a stamp set. So what do you need for heat embossing? So you need some Versamark ink. All right, so that's an essential. So it's like a watermark kind of stamp ink. You need some embossing powder. It is nearly all gone. Stampin' Up! Has actually got a newer one now. Have I frozen? Oh no. It's got a newer one which is called Wow, which you can even color on, which is very cool. Heat tool. So this is my heat tool. So these are kind of the essential things that you need. You need a heat tool because it's the right temperature and it's the right speed. If you try using like a hairdryer or something like that, it's just going to be too powerful and blow the embossing powder away. Saying that, in the early days when I started, I had an old toaster that I used to hold above to heat it. So I guess that is a possibility, but it was an old one, not one that I used for cooking toaster. So they're the basic 3. Versamark pad, embossing powder. Now these come in all sorts of colors, white, clear, black, and they're all the basic colors. Or you can get metallics, which are like gold, silver, and I think copper, not sure, and a heat tool. So those 3 are kind of essential for embossing. Obviously, it's quite useful. So yeah, so embossing body just helps get rid of the static. If you've got a embossing tray like this, it's useful just for collecting the powder, but you can use a sheet of paper. And this is a set. There's also tweezers that come with it, and there is a paintbrush, but it's not here in this room. Sometimes if you've got something small, holding it with tweezers is quite useful. But you might have some of those things on hand. But the essential things are these here. Okay, so of course I'll show you this because I've already done it before, but one of my essential tools with crafting is my paper trimmer. So I use this all the time. So I've already pre-cut today's card and things ready to go just for this to save time, but I use my paper trimmer all the time. It's got a darker one for cutting and a lighter one for scoring. You can get replacement blades when it gets blunt, and you can also replace the scoring tool if you happen to lose it or it gets damaged or something like that. And the good thing about this paper trimmer is it's got an extended arm, so you can measure quite long pieces as well. Anyway, I have cut the card ready for today, so that's all good. So what we're going to make, like I said before, we're going to use, where is it gone? The beautiful butterflies. Hopefully you like butterflies. If you don't, sorry. But this is one of my favorites. And like I say, you can improvise and use it with other things as well. So I don't see anyone on live at the moment, but feel free to comment later on, that kind of thing as well. I'm wondering if my camera is as clear today. I'm just going to switch cameras for a minute and just try and clean this one. I don't know. So who knows? Let's just see if that's any better. Coming back down to that, it might just be, is that slightly clearer now? Hopefully. Okay. This also has an embossing folder that goes with it, which we've used in the past, we're going to use today. And then there are dies. So I'll show you the dies. So there's lots of dies that go with this. We are using one in particular today, and it's not on there because I've got it ready to use. It's this one here. So lots of possibilities with this. A lot of the cards I have made have used the big butterfly with the body. So it goes like this. And then the small butterflies are cute. So you can do these. You probably can't see. I'll put it like that. There's two of those you can cut out. If you stamp one, you can also cut those out. And then there is the banners for cutting out words. And we're going to use this one today. And also this one here is very cool. It's in the catalogue, which I don't have in this room. You can actually make a butterfly shaped card. I guess I should, I have sort of cut one out, but I haven't actually decorated it up. So that's a possible, I must have a play with that too. So many possibilities with this set. Okay. So what I'm going to do is the embossing first, and we will have to cut it out. So and there's two kind of embossings. There is heat embossing, which obviously uses our, where's my ink pad gone? Oh, it's always right in front of me and I can't see. So heat embossing is when it's using embossing powder. And there's also dry embossing, is when you use an embossing folder like this. There's no heat involved, it's dry, and you get a textured pattern. Okay. So let's start with embossing. So what I'm going to do, should I show you the card or you wait and see? Okay, this is the piece I'm going to emboss on. I'm actually going to use the piece behind. So I'm going to do it straight in the center. And because it's photopolymer, I'm going to put my mat behind. It's a bit messy, but that's okay. It's just a paper piecing mat, and I've put a grid sheet over so I can, if I go over the edge, it doesn't matter. And then I can take it off, put a new one on. So first of all, if you have an embossing buddy, wipe over it first. It gets rid of any static. So you can sort of make these up yourself too if you want. Yeah, I think it's like baby powder or corn flour or something. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to Google it to see. All right, so I'm going to use my Versamark, and because it's a big stamp, I'm going to turn it upside down and go over the whole thing like so. Make sure it's got a good covering. You probably can't see, but I can kind of see it looks quite sticky. It is clear. Whoops, crash bang behind me. So you can't kind of see the ink, but I'm going to put it right in the middle, push hard, and the ends of my embossing powder. I'll still do a few more cards. So, well, it's stuck all right, so that's good. So I can kind of tap, tap, maybe missing a little bit in the corner, so we'll just go back over it. So if you miss a bit like that, just get some more embossing powder, spread it over. So you want to tap, tap, but we obviously don't want to brush too much off. If you had bits around, you could get a paintbrush and just brush it off with a paintbrush, or if there's a few little bits with your hand, you can kind of wipe it off. But that actually looks really good. Sometimes you need to give a little flick at the back, and that gets rid of the excess as well. Now, if you've got a piece of paper that you've had underneath, you'll fold it in half and put it back into here. With this one, I unscrew this, and you'll see there are a couple of little flecks of paper in there, but that's okay. And then I tip it back in, like so. Now you will see there's still some white in here. So this is not the one from the kit. So what I'd actually do is get a good brush and make sure I get it all. If I'm still using white, it doesn't matter, but I want to get all the bits out. Then I'll do it up and I'll put the lid on so I don't knock it over, because I have done that before. Yeah, so you can still see in here that there are a few dots of white. So I would make sure that is very clean before I use a different color. Otherwise, if you have gold, you'll have flecks of white in it. So either brush it really well or wipe it down, but let it dry in between different colors. All right, now, so you need to be careful not to knock this, because if I knock it or brush it, the powder is going to come off because it's not set yet. I'm also going to do this up so that it doesn't go dry. You can get ink refills for these as well, so it's good to have on handy. So it's nice and moist. It's going to give you a better covering and things. All right, looks like some of you are live now, which is cool. Please feel free to comment and things. I don't know if it's just me, but it's looking a little bit glitchy, so I hope the video is going okay. All right, so what we're going to do now is heat this. Now, because it's not turned on, I should have turned it on before my live, it will take a little bit of time to heat up. So it's going to take a little while to change color. But if it's already heated up, then it will go much faster. So let me just, hopefully that's not too noisy for you. So there are two settings on this. There's a 1, which is quite low, quite good for watercoloring paper and stuff. And then a 2 is a little bit higher, but not, you know, not too high like a hairdryer. So at the moment it's, oh, there you go, you can see it going. Can you see how that's getting darker and it's melting? So that top right corner, you can definitely see that it's working now. So you just got to make sure that you cover the whole thing. And obviously you don't want to keep it on a spot too long or it'll burn. So it's just letting it melt enough. I'm going to turn it round. But that's definitely going very nicely. Very cool. So you can see that bit there where it's been done and where it hasn't been done. So we're going to finish it off. And then a quick covering. Oh, we hadn't quite done that tip. So you got to look for all the edges and make sure you've done every bit. Excellent. Now we will cut that out, but I'm not going to do it yet. It's probably a little bit sticky and a little bit warm, and I don't want it to get over my plates or things that when I emboss it. Or cut it out rather. Okay, so that's ready. The other thing on my card is I'm going to do a little sentiment. So I have going to use the thanks from the Simply Said stamp set. And I've actually done one earlier just for the sake of time. So I have stamped it on here, sprinkled it on, heat set it, and then I'm going to cut it out. I'm actually going to cut it out with one of the dies from the Cheerful Daisy set. So it's this one here. So this is the Cheerful Daisies. So it's a nice size. So I'll put that down. I'll often use some removable tape just to hold it in place. So we'll tape it on like so, and that helps keep it in place. And we will do that with that too. All right, so those are our embossed pieces. So we'll just let that dry for a moment more. And what we're going to do is the background, we're going to dry emboss this piece of cardstock here. So we're going to use our folder. So my card is going to be a landscape one. So I want to do it as close to the right as I can because I want to leave room for my sentiment. Will that kind of fit in? Let's have a look. Yeah, it might have to go underneath slightly. And I do want the butterfly to be slightly angled. So as long as it's all in the folder, I might just have to go back slightly. that should do. So it's my butterfly slightly to the left to leave room for my sentiment. All right, I'm going to bring up my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It may not fit under the camera, so you might just see it as it comes out. And because it's a 3D embossing folder, let's see if I can move that without it. I'll show you what I need. So I need the base plate, which is a 1. I need a 4, which is the grey one, and then this is going to go in the middle. So I'll show you what. So I have this, then I have this, and then I put the grey one on top, and let's put it through. So you'll see it come out your end, hopefully. Whoops, we're just banging into things. So it's a bit of a shaky table when it comes to embossing. So this is dry embossing. There we go. So that is dry embossed. So this with Stampin' Up on the front is the front of the folder. Okay, so while we've got our machine up here, I'm going to change my plates and now we're going to cut. So using thin dies, we need a 1 at the bottom, then a 2, and then 3 either side. So this is my 1. This is my 2, making it a bit thicker. And then we need 2 3. So this is a very used 3. Can you see that? Oh, you probably can't see the numbers. I'll show you again. Sorry. So that's a 1. This is a 2. This is one of the 3s, and I've got another 3. So what I do is my base, oops, that's the chair behind me. The base one is the one that I cut on lots, and then this one goes on top, and it's not as scratched, which is quite cool. So then I'll put this down. And I'm going to put the die on top when I find it. Here it is. And we'll put a bit of tape on to hold it in place. And I'm going to start from the other end. I'll move it all over in a minute. And then it will come out here. So I'm going to get a piece of tape. Or we can use the one that we had before. Hold it in place. You could use a Post-it note or a washi tape. Whoops, that's not very lined up. Or something like that to kind of hold it in place. Right, I'm going to bring it around the other side and check that it doesn't move. I might need tape on the other side just to help it go. And we put that in. Another plate on top, and away we go. So today I haven't shown you the finished card, which is a little bit different. Unless you saw the little preview photo beforehand. Okay. So isn't that cool? I think we don't need that anymore. So I'm going to put this aside, give us a bit more space. And I'll just show you with this die too. If you put the die on this side here and see how it kind of locks into place. If you put a blank piece of card over it and put it through your machine, it will emboss and cut at the same time. So if you're on my mailing list, I included a tutorial this week that included the cut and embossed butterfly. And we did some sponge. Now, I'm not one to waste stuff, so this piece here we're actually going to use. So this is what we call the negative. So this is my card base. So I've got Fresh Freesia, I've got Balmy Blue, and then I've got the white. Now, I'm going to open my card this way, so it's going to stand up like this. The reason I do that is, I mean, I do make cards that stand up like this sometimes. Sometimes after a while, they tend to sort of go like that. So I will make them, but sometimes it's quite hard to actually make it this way. So what I'm going to do is we'll adhere this to here and this on top. So someone would never know that there is this cut out. I mean, that could be a feature of a card. I don't tend to put this in the middle because if you put a white piece over the top and you're writing a message, it's going to be a bit bumpy. So we don't want that. So I'll put it on the front because we're not writing on it things. That's slightly curved, so I'm going to turn that over that way. All right, so let's adhere these. Get my glue. So put that on the front like so. And then we're going to put this one over the top. So this is kind of one of my standard sizes for measurements, just 5 mils between each layer. There we go. All right, so that's my card. Basically what I'm going to do is put this on here. Now you could do it wherever you want. I'm sort of lining it up where that embossed image is, but you don't need to. I'm also just going to fold up either side of the body so that I can glue there, and then the wings will come up a little bit. And then you can sort of see that pattern underneath. So we will do that and sort of line it up. And then I've got my thanks from before. Did I cut one out? Yes, I did. So is it going to fit? It might just have to tuck under slightly. So I'm going to put that on with dimensionals. So don't you love that embossing? Doesn't it stand out, the white against the coloured cardstock? And like I say, you can do all sorts of colours, black, clear. Clear looks quite effective, and there's some good ways of using clear as well. So there's my greeting. So to finish it off, I'm going to add some embellishments. So kind of purplies, fresh freezery colours if I've got them. So I've got these. I'm not sure if they're actually current anymore, but they've got some purpley colours in it. Otherwise, these are quite good to use. They are the iridescent, what are they called? Iridescent, I've got a new packet here ready for one that runs out. Iridescent faceted gems, okay? So I'm going to use this. I'll do these ones on this card and you can kind of see the difference. So these kind of go with anything. They sort of pick up the colour that's around. I like to use 3. Oops, it's on my finger. We'll put one down there like so, but the purples could be quite nice too. So let's see how it compares to my first card. We'll go side by side, shall we? So very similar. So that's the first one I did with different colour, different colour pearls. This is the one, slightly more subtle, I guess. Let's see the inside. So I've stamped. So I've done the same layering as on the front. So we need to do that in the inside. So we will bring back our butterfly set, and I'm going to use these 2 butterflies and use my fresh freezer ink and stamp those. So we'll do one down here, lightish because we've been using it lots for my class this morning. There we go. Cool. And I will hear those on the inside, and that's it. So there is our finished card. Another one, but they're all quite different, using the beautiful butterflies. So does anybody have that set? Like I say, it was one of my favorites. I have had other butterfly sets in the past, but this is a little different and so many uses. That one might be running out. Let's see if I've got another one. Oh, yeah, this is in a minute with the heat embossing. So you can go back and watch the video too and just see the steps. But it's worth giving it a go. So if you need to get any of the supplies for heat embossing, feel free to reach out to me and I can help you. All right, there we go. By the way, with my glues, I try and store them downwards because I tend to use the end and it's ready to go. If I keep turning it up, all the glue is going to go the other end and then it'll take a while to start. So that's what I do. Okay, just move my embellishments out the way. Any questions? All right, so Linda said it's very stop-start. I don't know if that's me or what. I might have to redo the video. I'm not sure why it's very stop-start. Sorry if it is. I'll watch it later and see what happens. Okay, so there is our beautiful butterflies with embossing, heat embossing. So let me remind you what you need for heat embossing. So you need some Versamark ink, you need some embossing powder, and you need a heat tool. And then obviously you need some cardstock and a stamp to emboss, but you can use whatever you've got in those supplies. Extras, if you want to, but you don't have to. But I do recommend an embossing buddy. So we sell that part of a pack. I mean, the other things are essential, so you might want to save up for that. The embossing buddy with the tray and this, what do you call it? Tweezers, and then there's a brush that goes with it too. But you can use some paper to start with or something. It's quite nice because it keeps it all contained, but it's not, essential. And Google it, you might be able to make your own embossing buddy. Cool. All right, so there we go. So some tips on heat embossing. Just remember to rub over your paper first. That gets rid of some of that static and the extra little bits of speckled embossing powder that you don't want. Sprinkle it over your paper, and then just tap the paper so that any extra goes in. And sometimes you may want to even give the paper a little kind of flick to remove the excess. Not too much or it'll all come off. Work quickly after you've put the ink on. Work quickly with putting the powder on. You can wait a bit of time before you heat it, but you risk knocking it, and then if the powder gets knocked off, then that's not good. And then just heating it and just watching it change color from that sort of matte creamy color to the white color, which is very cool. All right, so I hope you had fun with today's card. Olinda says she has that set and she enjoys using it. She likes the embossing technique. Yeah, it is a good technique to do. So this set has so many opportunities. I was going to show a couple of cards that I've made using it. Where did I put them? So if you want to know how to do these have been on live, so just check back and look at the lives and you'll see how to make it. So this was one where I did stamping, so it's just the stamp set. So the one that I embossed today, I've stamped it. There it is in Pretty in Pink, and here it is in Boho Blue. So Boho Blue will be a retiring colour soon. The in colours from 2023 to 2025, which is Boho Blue, Wild Wheat, Copper Clay, Moody Mauve, and Pebbled Path will be retiring at the end of April, early May. So if you like those colours, get in quick, get in early, get the cardstock, get ink refills before it sells out. Another card I made was using the dies. So this one here, using some celebration paper and die cutting out the butterfly. I'm sure I've done others too. And like I said, there was one in my newsletter this week. So all sorts of different ways of using this set. It's so versatile. Okay, one last thing before I go. Last week, I shared a card using the ephemera pack, and then I shared some things from On Stage, which was a Stamping Up demonstrator event. We got a copy of the annual catalogue at the event, so they're being, we can now order them. So I ordered them yesterday. It'll take a week and a half or 2 weeks to get here. Then I'll be able to send them out to my customers. I can't open it and show you inside, but it will start on the 6th of May. So if you've been ordering from me before, then you will get one. If you're not sure, just flick me an email or click on the link and fill in your details. If you haven't bought from me before and you'd like one, then fill in that form. There's a link in the description here. So they will arrive probably towards the end of the school term, beginning of the school holidays. So I've got a few things happening with classes and things, but I'll do my best during probably the holidays to get them sorted and sent out. Very good. So lots of exciting things here. Now with the annual catalogue, on the 1st of April, I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but somewhere around then, or might be the 6th of April, I'm not sure, they will put the last chance up. So that'll be product that will be going from the current catalogue and not carrying on into the annual catalogue or online. So be on the lookout for that too. I'm going to switch cameras back. So any questions about any of that? Awesome. All right. So I hope you liked today's card and the technique, which is heat embossing. I like heat embossing. It looks so stunning and impressive, on a card. Obviously, you could just heat emboss straight on the card. You don't need to die cut and things like I have. So many possibilities. But remember, you need Versamark, a heat tool, and some embossing powder. So our embossing powders are in sets of 3. the basics, white, clear, and black, which are the most common colors that I do use actually. And as you can see, my white's nearly run out. And there's some metallics, gold, silver, and I believe copper, but not 100% sure. So yeah, they're great to use too. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you for joining me today, whether you're watching live or watching the recording. I appreciate that. If you're watching on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe to my channel so you'll be kept up to date with other videos. Please comment too, share this with others. And if you've got any techniques that you'd like me to share, depending on how complex and things, I might be able to do that on a future Facebook Live. Some of the more complex techniques than I tend to do in my classes. And I'm looking at how I can sort of make some of the classes available to those of you that are further away as well. Awesome. Thank you for your time today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you for joining me. Just remember, if you're not on my mailing list, please subscribe, because you'll be kept up to date with specials and exclusive exclusive tutorials, tips, and more. So I want to be here to be able to reach out and help you with your paper crafting. And sorry, one more thing, scrapbooking too. Stampin' Up is doing more with scrapbooking, and in May, I'm going to do an in-person scrapbooking class. And also, you know, if you can't come to that, there are kits that you can buy with, you know, details and things in that you can work on your own too. All right, thank you again. I do appreciate you watching live or the recording. Thank you for supporting me, and I hope you have fun with heat embossing and your card making. And